The Council's fleets drifted silently through the void, a formidable display of power that now felt strangely empty. Sensors detected no human ships, no colony activity beyond what automated systems continued to perform. Panic spread quietly among the delegates, though no one admitted it aloud. The humans had disappeared, but their presence lingered like a shadow that refused to fade. In the council chambers, accusations flew. The Varkesh delegates clawed at their datapads, showing evidence of what they believed to be sabotage. The humans cannot have vanished, one hissed. Their ships cannot simply disappear. The LORE, meanwhile, floated above their platform, changing color rapidly, a visible sign of their anxiety. Perhaps we underestimated them, one said cautiously, though even these words sounded hollow. But it was not just fear. Slowly, other delegates began noticing inconsistencies in communications and reports. Messages that had been trusted were altered or deliberately misinterpreted. Some alliances had been forged on false premises. The Council realized with growing horror that their own internal decisions had been manipulated, without the humans ever speaking a word. Far beyond the Council's gaze, human ships had moved into carefully chosen positions. They were invisible, hidden in the dark spaces between stars. Their fleet was small but precise, capable of extraordinary speed and cloaking. Automated systems patrolled the empty corridors of space like silent sentinels. Humans did not attack. They had no need to. Every misstep, every hidden betrayal within the Council was now visible to them, recorded and cataloged for strategic release at the right moment. On Erythra Prime, life went on as usual. Children laughed among the crimson fields, unaware that their colony had been the catalyst for a galactic upheaval. Engineers monitored distant star lanes, checking sensor readings, ensuring that the human silence was never broken. Farmers harvested crops engineered for harsh climates, while small drones moved through the skies, maintaining invisible barriers, systems, and records. The humans' plan was clear and simple: expose the Council without firing a single shot. They had prepared not only physically but morally and strategically. Every action by the Council would now reflect on itself, leaving them to face the consequences of their choices. Back in the Council chamber, the first clear evidence of human intervention appeared. Logs previously thought secure began to show discrepancies. Hidden communications between factions were revealed, showing deceit, greed, and ambition. Secrets that had been buried for decades were now suddenly visible. The Council's own decisions had created the conditions for its embarrassment and eventual collapse. One Iloari delegate turned a shade of dark violet, a sign of extreme stress. This cannot be, they said. Everything we believed, every alliance, it has been a lie. Across the chamber, smaller factions whispered, uncertain who could be trusted. Accusations and doubt began to spread faster than the speed of light. Humans, in the silence of their hidden fleet, observed everything. They shared information across their network instantly, analyzing patterns, predicting moves, and ensuring that the Council's collapse would be thorough but orderly. There was no joy in the observation, only the calm satisfaction that comes from planning, patience, and intelligence. The Council attempted to regroup. Leaders called emergency sessions, trying to salvage their credibility. Fleets were ordered to scatter, then regroup, and again to retreat. But each decision seemed to worsen their situation. Evidence of corruption, hidden agendas, and betrayals became public, shared across channels once thought secure. Factions turned on one another, alliances crumbled, and chaos spread in a tide of confusion. Meanwhile, humans made subtle interventions from afar. Automated drones and cloaked ships monitored Council fleets, adjusting minor systems to ensure that the Council could never easily correct its errors. But humans did not attack, they merely nudged, guided, and recorded. Every mistake was cataloged, every misstep observed. Their goal was not conquest, but the demonstration of a principle. Arrogance and short-sightedness carry their own consequences. On Erythra Prime, human leaders convened quietly. They believe us gone, said one, eyes fixed on a holographic map of Council territories. And yet everything we have prepared is already at work. Another nodded. They cannot hide from themselves. Every lie, every betrayal, they will reveal on their own. Weeks passed. The Council, now fractured and unsure, began to suspect that the humans were orchestrating events from afar. But no one could locate the fleet. No one could determine the humans' position. The humans' withdrawal had not been a retreat. It had been a strategic repositioning, turning their absence into a weapon. Alien factions began to argue among themselves, each suspecting the other of secret collusion with humanity. Accusations flew, fleets shifted in defensive formations, and leaders were caught in endless debates that solved nothing. The Council had created a vacuum of trust, and humans filled it with observation rather than interference. At one point, a Varkesh admiral sent a scouting team to locate human ships. They found only emptiness, with traces deliberately planted to mislead sensors. The humans were everywhere and nowhere, silent and invisible. They have outsmarted us, the admiral admitted privately. We cannot even find them, and yet they control the flow of information. The Council's fall was gradual but inevitable. Reputation crumbled as evidence of hidden alliances, secret deals, and ignored warnings reached other star systems. Planets that had long relied on the Council began questioning their authority. Traders, fleets, and minor civilizations quietly withdrew support. The humans had done nothing overt, yet their silence created a mirror reflecting the Council's failures to all. Humans, meanwhile, continued to strengthen their frontier presence. New colonies were quietly established on nearby worlds, connected by secure warp lanes. Resources were gathered, technologies refined, and defensive systems perfected. The humans did not seek to expand aggressively. They only ensured that they could protect themselves while allowing the Council's mistakes to unfold naturally. In private meetings, human leaders spoke calmly. "The Council will collapse under its own weight," said one. "We only need to observe," another added. "This is not revenge. It is proof. Humanity does not need to fight when intelligence and patience are sufficient." As months passed, the Council's fragmentation became complete. Fleets no longer followed coherent orders. Delegates refused to trust one another, and every decision was second-guessed. In the void of space, fleets drifted aimlessly, unsure whom they served or why. Civilizations that had once relied on Council leadership began forming their own local alliances, inspired by the humans' example of discipline, foresight, and calm. The humans, invisible in the background, did not celebrate. Their satisfaction was quiet, measured, and practical. Humanity had shown that morality, strategy, and patience could outperform arrogance and brute force. They had not destroyed the Council. They had allowed it to destroy itself. A far more effective lesson. On Erythra Prime, children played unaware. Farmers tended to crops, and engineers worked in silent precision. Humans had withdrawn from the center of galactic politics, but their presence was felt in every failure, every exposed lie, every miscalculation made by the Council. The galaxy slowly realized that the humans had not been weak. They had been invisible, patient, and superior in ways the Council had refused to consider. By the time the Council attempted to regroup, it was too late. Factions refused to cooperate, fleets were unaligned, and trust was a memory. Across the stars, whispers of humanity's foresight began to circulate. "They did nothing, and yet they won," one species said. "We underestimated them, and we paid the price." Humans remained silent. Their ships stayed hidden, their colonies safe, and their citizens unaware of the chaos beyond their skies. But humanity had sent a message that could not be ignored. Arrogance and short-sightedness are never stronger than patience, intelligence, and moral clarity. In the final quiet moments of the Council's decline, humans observed from afar. The galaxy had been watching them for centuries, often underestimating their abilities. Now the lesson was clear. Humans did not need to dominate with weapons or threats. They only needed to plan, observe, and act with precision. Their absence spoke louder than any fleet, louder than any speech in the Council chamber. And as the stars shimmered over Erythra Prime, life continued. The humans silently prepared for the future, knowing that when the galaxy came to respect their patience, intelligence, and unity, humanity would be ready, not as conquerors, but as guardians of their own destiny. The Council, fractured and humiliated, was left to face its own deeds. Every lie, every betrayal, and every act of greed became visible for all to see. And humanity? Humanity had only observed, guided subtly, and waited. In silence, they had won. For the first time, the galaxy understood that sometimes the greatest power lies not in action, but in the patient choice to remain unseen until the moment is right. The humans had withdrawn silently. And in that silence, they had left a lesson the Council would never forget. The Galactic Council chamber hung like a glittering crown in the void. It orbited a pale blue star far from any major civilization. Enormous crystal-like walls reflected the soft light of the distant sun, casting prismatic colors across the vast hall. Delegates from countless species moved with quiet authority, their alien forms diverse beyond comprehension. Some had transparent skin that shimmered like liquid. Others had long limbs ending in delicate, jointed fingers. The Council's purpose was simple on paper: maintain order across the galaxy. In practice, it was a web of politics, ambition, and fragile alliances. At the far end of the chamber, a group of humans observed silently. They were few in number compared to the grand scale of the Council. Only 3 representatives dressed in simple gray uniforms, seated behind a transparent barrier. Their presence was almost understated, yet their eyes did not miss a single detail. Every flicker of movement, every tone in speech, every subtle glance was recorded in their minds. They were quiet, reserved, but there was a calm authority about them that made even the most confident aliens hesitate for a brief moment. The debate of the day was the fate of a small human colony on a frontier world called Erythra Prime. It was rich in rare minerals, but its human population was small, less than 10,000. Several alien factions had their eyes on it. The Varkesh, a species known for sharp claws and sharper minds, argued that the colony should be seized immediately. "They are weak," one Varkesh delegate hissed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They have no fleet, no defenses. It is a perfect opportunity to expand our influence." The Eloari, tall and lithe beings who could change the color of their skin at will, disagreed. "We must act cautiously," their delegate replied, voice smooth as water. "Humanity has surprised us before. Are we so certain that they will not resist? Our intelligence is incomplete, but no one in the Council truly believed that humans could pose a serious threat. For centuries, humans had remained on the fringes of galactic politics, and their small colonies were considered minor concerns. The humans, meanwhile, sat quietly, almost invisible among the giants of the Council. They did not interrupt, they did not argue, but their silence was not ignorance. They were observing, planning, and waiting. Outside the Council chamber, in the depths of space, the human colony on Erythra Prime was thriving. Its cities were small but efficient, blending advanced technology with the natural environment. Energy fields shimmered above the planet's surface, powered by innovations unknown to most alien races. Drones moved silently across the skies, performing construction, defense, and monitoring tasks. Every citizen had a role, not just in survival but in preparation. The humans did not need to make noise or boast about their strength. They simply ensured they were ready for anything the Council might attempt. Back in the chamber, the debate grew heated. The Varkesh proposed sending fleets immediately, citing the weakness of human defenses. Other factions supported the idea, each hoping to claim a share of the planet. The humans watched silently, their expressions calm. No one noticed how they subtly shifted, exchanging data through hidden communicators. Information flowed quickly among them. Each piece analyzed, each possibility weighed. As the Council debated, a subtle pattern began to emerge. Certain factions had secret motives. The Eloari, for example, were not merely concerned about human strength. They wanted control of the colony's mineral resources. The Varkesh sought to demonstrate power, testing the reactions of other Council members, and some smaller factions had quietly placed themselves as observers, ready to profit no matter who succeeded. The humans noted it all. They did not need to speak. In fact, speaking too soon could expose them to unnecessary risk. The Council was divided. A vote was scheduled for the following cycle, giving each faction time to maneuver. The humans took this opportunity to deepen their understanding. Their spies had already infiltrated minor Council offices, using subtle means that left no trace. Communications were intercepted, maps were scanned, and weaknesses were identified. Humanity's strength was not in brute force, but in strategy, patience, and observation. For weeks, the humans quietly improved their colony's infrastructure. New defensive systems were deployed, capable of detecting threats light years away. Autonomous drones patrolled the skies, ready to respond instantly to any hostile action. Citizens trained not only in combat but in coordination, logistics, and emergency response. Every resident knew their role. What outsiders saw as a small, fragile colony was in truth a network of precise efficiency, prepared for any eventuality. During this time, subtle warnings were sent to the Council. Messages appeared in communications channels, small anomalies that hinted humans were aware of the Council's intentions. Some were simple signals, others were more complex, suggesting technological capabilities far beyond what the Council assumed humans possessed. Yet the Council largely ignored these hints, dismissing them as coincidence or minor glitches. Pride blinded them. They had always underestimated humans, and old habits die hard. Finally, the day of the vote arrived. Delegates gathered, their forms floating above platforms that extended like arms from the Council's walls. The chamber buzzed with anticipation. Humans sat quietly, observing each speaker with calm eyes. Every motion, every tone, every subtle shift in posture was recorded. The Council debated the final terms of their motion to seize Erythra Prime. Votes were counted, arguments presented, and alliances tested. Humanity remained silent, almost invisible yet fully aware. As the Council reached its conclusion, the decision was made. Fleets would be dispatched immediately. The humans knew the moment had come, yet they did not panic. They did not rally armies for battle. Instead, they executed the plan they had prepared silently for months. Outside the Council chamber, human ships moved without warning. They did not announce themselves. Sensors picked up only faint traces as the vessels departed from orbit around the colony, vanishing into the void. They traveled in small formations, using advanced cloaking and navigation technology that left them undetectable to standard Council sensors. Their movements were precise, controlled, and silent. When the Council's fleets arrived, they found nothing. The colony seemed deserted, yet automated systems remained active. Sensors detected no large human vessels. The Council panicked. Reports of disappearance were sent back and forth, with alien delegates shouting accusations at one another. Some claimed sabotage from rival factions. Others suspected human trickery. The humans, however, were watching from hidden positions, observing the chaos without revealing themselves. It was then that the first subtle evidence of human intelligence became apparent. Automated defense drones, left behind as part of a deliberate ruse, began to reveal inconsistencies in Council communications. Surveillance logs were exposed, showing certain factions had misrepresented information, lied about intentions, and even betrayed allies. Slowly, the Council realized that every step they had taken had been anticipated, studied, and countered by humans who never fired a single shot. Within weeks, the Council descended into confusion. Factions turned against one another, unable to trust allies or even themselves. Humans, meanwhile, strengthened their hidden positions on the frontier. Erythra Prime remained intact, its citizens safe and unaware of the scale of the chaos they had indirectly caused. The human strategy was simple: observe, prepare, and let the Council face the consequences of its own decisions. No force was needed, no battle was required. The Council had overestimated its power and underestimated human patience. Every arrogant move, every greedy claim, and every betrayal was now visible to all, and humans remained silent, their presence only inferred by the consequences of their actions. At night, in the quiet of their hidden fleet, human leaders spoke in low tones. "They think they control everything," one said. "Yet they cannot even control themselves." Another nodded. "We have done nothing, yet everything they sought to achieve has failed." Their mistakes are their own. On the colony world, life continued. Children played in the fields, unaware of the Grand Council and its machinations. Farmers tended to crops designed to grow in harsh conditions. Engineers tested new technologies quietly, preparing for a future humans knew would require vigilance and intelligence, not fear. Humans had chosen a path of patience, and it was already proving far more effective than any attack or protest could have been. As the first part of the Council's failure unfolded, humans remained invisible but omnipresent in their influence. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries, but on this small frontier world, humanity quietly prepared to demonstrate that intelligence, patience, and strategic thinking could outweigh sheer numbers and political clout. The Council's arrogance had created the perfect conditions for their own humiliation. And the humans, ever watchful, waited for the right moment to step forward again, not as conquerors, but as a silent force whose actions spoke louder than words. whose patience revealed the flaws in even the most powerful civilizations. In the endless expanse of space, among stars and shadows, humanity had learned its greatest lesson. Strength was not always loud. Sometimes it was the silence that caused the greatest reckoning.